Right, 14 April 2020, and today I want to give you an update on the situation at the Zimbabwe-South Africa border at Beitbridge. So what has happened is that the fence between Zimbabwe and Beitbridge, the new fence that cost 37 million, has been cut. So somebody went to the Zimbabwe-South Africa border and they wanted to cross over, and instead of just passing through the border, they cut the fence, which means some illegal activities are taking place there at the border. This is the purpose why South Africa spent 37 million rands only 2 weeks ago to block that border. But obviously, some people managed to cross over, and that fence means nothing. It's in fact, it will prevent cattle and other animals, but not people from crossing. So this is quite an embarrassment, especially to the South African military, because the question now arises, are the South African military able to protect the border of South Africa? Are they doing a good job there to make sure that people do not cross the external threats coming into the country? So it's a very big embarrassment. And the Minister of Public Works, Patricia de Lille, she has said in a tweet that she asked the South African National Defense Force to send more soldiers. She also put some pictures on the tweets that show some of the soldiers that has already arrived. But it's clear that at the moment, the SANDF has not been doing a good job in securing that border. It's been happening for decades. People have been crossing from Zimbabwe to South Africa to buy groceries, which is really sad because Zimbabwe is not such a backward country that you cannot make cooking oil, bread, cannot make little things that people are coming over here to buy. Zimbabwe is also not a country which cannot be fixed if the real hard decisions are made. Zimbabwe can be fixed if the currency is fixed, if the economy is fixed, if the politics is fixed. But this has not been possible. And South Africa has been partly to blame. South Africa has been benefiting from what has been happening in Zimbabwe. They've let the situation in Zimbabwe deteriorate when they had an opportunity to fix the situation in Zimbabwe. People like Thabo Mbeki, they were in Zimbabwe and they had an opportunity to tell ZANU-PF to do the right thing, but they did not do so. So South Africa is just now starting to see the effects of what is happening in Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe has become a problem. As we speak right now with coronavirus, Zimbabwe is now a big problem. Resources are stretched, schools are stretched, everything that you can imagine, clinics, hospitals, they are stretched because many people want to get treatment. If the pandemic gets worse and worse, it is going to affect a lot here in South Africa. So this is the time when the South Africans are just starting to wake up to the situation to say, by the way, we have all these 4 million people here in this country who are causing overcrowding, who are causing crime, who are causing all the other situations that I've just described, which is why the South Africans are now trying to put measures to control illegal immigration. So you must take it as it is. The South African government is trying to control illegal immigration coming into South Africa. So very soon, what you're going to see is there's going to be a change. There will be a change in the approach, especially hitting first the legal immigration. So people who are supposed to get work permits, it's going to be harder to get work permits. People will be asking, why should we be giving these guys work permits when we've got our own people who are unemployed here? So it won't be easy to say, if I don't get a job in Zimbabwe, I'll just go to South Africa and get a job. The hard decisions have to be made. The hard political decisions. The economy has to be fixed. There is no reason why ZANU-PF is not fixing the economy. There's no reason why ZANU-PF is not trying harder. Idi Mnangagwa totally refusing to have dialogue with Nelson Chamisa while the economy collapses. So he's got no interest in having any change at all in the country. These guys feel like everything is fine. South Africa is sorting out the problem for us. So this is what happened at the border. This is what happened this week. The South Africa National Defense Force having to send more soldiers to make sure that that border is secure after the fence was cut. But internally here in South Africa, the embassy of Zimbabwe has sent out a message to say any Zimbabweans who want to go back to Zimbabwe can register online. So I'm going to put the link on gambaku.com. You can also go to the Facebook page of the Zimbabwe Consulate, Boeing Road, and you can get the contact there. There is a form that you can fill so that you register that you want to go. A lot of Zimbabweans here in South Africa are in a very difficult position. They've got nothing to eat. They've got no jobs. Most people live on piece jobs. They've got no jobs. No one is hiring. No one is hiring you to come and clean their house when the situation is like this. So those are the kind of people who want to go back home. And I don't know what happens if you don't have a passport. So maybe you can just register and say, I don't have a passport, and they'll allow you to leave the country. It's better than being deported. So going forward, what I think is that the situation between Zimbabwe and South Africa is going to continue to change. There's no way the South Africans are going to allow this current situation that is there. But there's also no way Zimbabwe should accept South Africa just ignoring the situation in Zimbabwe, being friendly to Idi Mnangagwa and not speaking up. So South Africa should speak up and say, Idi Mnangagwa, fix the situation in Zimbabwe. Human rights abuses are not welcome. And this is important. Right, so this is it for today. The fence between Zimbabwe and South Africa, the new border fence, which cost 37 million rands, was cut this week. It was breached, which is very embarrassing to the South Africans. They feel like someone has just slapped them across the face because they thought that this fence was going to be standing there for a while. But only 2 weeks after it was put up, the fence was cut. Someone managed to jump across. Who knows what else they did when they crossed over into South Africa. So obviously the patrols are going to be much higher going forward. You should expect to see a lot of soldiers there on the border between Zimbabwe and South Africa. And as I said a few weeks back, South Africa is tightening its borders. On the Mozambican side, they are actually putting a concrete wall. And I know that if this situation continues, if people continue to cut the fence on the Zimbabwean side, I won't be surprised if they put a concrete barrier there between Zimbabwe and South Africa. So this is it for today. And I hope to find a guest later on in the afternoon so that we can talk to them about the issues that are happening in Zimbabwe. There's a lot that is happening. But for now, if you're watching this on WhatsApp, please send it to as many people as possible. If you're watching this on Facebook and YouTube, please like, comment, and share.